Also springing out of the Second Great Awakening's reform-mindedness is the anti-slavery movement. Now, don't get me wrong. There were abolitionists long before the Second Great Awakening. In fact, there are abolitionist movements going all the way back to the 1500s. In fact, Lafayette had an abolitionist scheme that he had proposed to George Washington, which was rejected right after the American Revolution. So what we're talking about here is going to be the antebellum anti-slavery movement. Sometimes we refer to this as the abolitionist movement. Now, back all the way as early as 1816, we can see that the American Colonization Society had started what we're often referred to as repatriation efforts. This is the idea that they wanted to buy some land in Africa and then ship all of the freed enslaved people to that territory. Eventually what they're going to create is something called Liberia, but that was never actually a big movement. In fact, partially that was because the free black population saw this as rather offensive. This country was their country. They did not know Africa, so they wanted not to leave the country, but they wanted to make this country more equal and effective for them. So repatriation efforts are not really going to do much in the country, although it does highlight some of the inequality and racism that is present. There's a cotton crisis that emerges after the Eli Whitney and the Cotton Gin. Now, the founding generation kind of assumed that slavery was dying out. Now, granted, they were benefiting from that society, but they thought the next generation will figure it out. And, tobacco is not becoming as productive. The land is becoming depleted. So they assumed that eventually slavery would go away and somebody else would figure it out. They kind of punted. But with cotton, the crisis emerges because cotton became incredibly productive. By the time of the American Revolution, the value of the enslaved population was going to be worth more than all of the other industries in the United States combined. So we have this crisis now, and the abolitionists are trying to figure out how to get rid of it. There's two schools of thought that emerge. One is referred to as gradualism, that if they just don't allow slavery to extend beyond where it already exists into those new territories, eventually it'll kind of die out and go away. This is kind of based on supply. I did that completely wrong. If you increase the supply, eventually the price will drop to the point where nobody would want them. There's also some free soil ties here. Don't pay attention to that. There's some free soil ties, right? The idea that the FreeSoilers did not want extension of slavery into the territories as well either. Now, there's another school that emerges that's demanding immediate abolition. So these are the ones we're going to take a look at in just a minute.